Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're continuing our ACC football predictions today, and our next team is coming off a 9-win season and their 25th straight bowl game, and return a strong quarterback and an always solid defense that will look to try to make it their 26th straight. They are the Virginia Tech Hokies. Justin Fuente is entering his third year as head coach at Virginia Tech, and he has done a great job taking over for legendary head coach Frank Beamer. In his first year, he led the Hokies to a 10-win season and a near upset over Clemson in the ACC championship game, and then had a 24-0 comeback over Arkansas to cap off the season. Last year, they finished 9-4 with a loss to a strong Oklahoma State team in their bowl game, and I expect them to have another solid year this year and get back to their 26th straight bowl game with 12 returning starters, including 7 on offense, 5 on defense. They returned Josh Jackson at quarterback, put up some solid numbers last year as a freshman. I expect him to put even bigger numbers up as a sophomore, even though some people think he will have a bit of a sophomore slump. I don't think that. They returned their running backs into Deshaun McCleese and Jalen Holston, both putting up solid numbers last year. They do lose their leading wide receiver last year in Cam Phillips, but they do get Eric Kuma back at wide receiver, Dalton Keene at tight end, and then 3 of their starting offensive linemen returned from last season. So that's going to give Josh Jackson some more time in the pocket and hopefully a chance to put up some big numbers and make some big plays. On defense, led by Bud Foster, who's entering his 23rd year as defensive coordinator at Virginia Tech, and obviously his defenses are always extremely strong. Last year, Virginia Tech is allowing 14.8 points per game, so a very solid defense last year that had a little more experience than this one does, but should still be fairly solid. They have extremely experienced defensive line with Trayvon Hill, Ricky Walker, and then Luke Reynolds also leading that defense as well, and that defensive line are all upperclassmen. Those 3 defensive line stars are all going to be upperclassmen, so that's going to certainly be their strength this year on defense. So Virginia Tech was actually 7-1 going into that game against Miami last year, which they lost 28-10. So there's a lot of talent on that team from last year, and a lot of that returns this year. They open the season at Florida State, and this is going to be a very, very intriguing game, one that I'm excited to watch. It's going to be the only game on Labor Day Monday. This marks the beginning of the Willie Taggart era at Florida State, and he returns a decent number of starters on the offensive side of the ball as well. So it's going to be a fun matchup to see Josh Jackson go up against DeAndre Francois, who should be back from his injury. They also have Cam Akers at running back, so I could see this game actually having a decent number of points scored down in Tallahassee. I'm going to give the edge, though, to Florida State because I like their offense just a little bit better over Virginia Tech's, and they also have home field advantage, and then they've got on top of that, you've got the beginning of the Willie Taggart era. He wants to start off on a high note, but obviously this is big in terms of the standings for both teams. I know they're in different divisions, but it's still an ACC conference game, so it's a big one. But I'm going to give Virginia Tech the loss here. I think maybe if this game was at Lane Stadium, I'd give them the edge over the Seminoles, but I like Florida State just a little bit too much in this one. William & Mary, a win for Virginia Tech. East Carolina, another win for them. At Old Dominion, an interesting game here, sending a Power 5 to a Group of 5 school on the road. So that's always just an intriguing matchup to watch anyways, because most of the time the Group of 5 visits the Power 5. But Old Dominion should be a little bit of a threat in the Conference USA, but not much to Virginia Tech, though. I like them to get another win here. And then at Duke, so then they start ACC play once again. This is a Duke team that's going to be extremely dangerous in this Coastal Division. I would really want to watch out for them. David Cutcliffe has done a great job doing his whole career at Duke. They returned Daniel Jones at quarterback, who, like Josh Jackson, put up some decent numbers last year, but nothing too spectacular, but will be even better this year, especially with a lot of his wide receivers returning, a lot of them also being seniors. Their defense is even going to be stronger, I think, for this Duke team, and it is on the road. I believe Virginia Tech won this game. I think it was 24-3 last year at Lane Stadium, but this was a Duke team last year that's barely made a bowl. They're going to be much improved this year. It is at home. I think Virginia Tech loses this game to the Blue Devils there. Then Notre Dame, another intriguing matchup here, and they host this game. As we all know, Lane Stadium is a very difficult place to play, one of the more difficult places to play in the ACC, so certainly nothing that Notre Dame wants to overlook here from a solid year they had last year. I like Brandon Wimbush. A lot of people don't seem to like him. They think he's a little overrated. He completed less than 50% of his passes last year. I understand that. But he's still a dual-threat quarterback, and I think in Brian Kelly's offense, he's going to make some big strides over the offseason and should perform very well this year. And this is a Notre Dame team that I think could get at least 10 wins or maybe more and will certainly be in the college football playoff discussion for most of the year. And this would be a huge resume-building win for the Fighting Irish here. Notre Dame returns 6 on offense, 9 on defense, and that's the kicker. That's where I think they're going to get Virginia Tech is their defense. 9 returning starters there from a team that really only that allowed 21.5 points per game last year. So I can certainly see this game down in Blacksburg being a defensive battle. Not many points being scored there against a strong Virginia Tech defense. And an even stronger Notre Dame defense. So it's really going to come down to who's going to make the big stop, who's going to force the most turnovers. I think that's going to be the Fighting Irish in this one, but I do expect this game to be close. And if Notre Dame's going to lose a couple games, this could certainly be one of them. But I'm just going to give the edge to the Fighting Irish there, and mostly that's going to be due to their defense and then the what I expect to be a more improved play of Brandon Wimbush. At North Carolina. This is another intriguing game. A lot of people are sleeping on North Carolina because of the year they had last year. They were a 3-9 team, but they had a lot of injuries, had a couple of close losses in there, so it could have been a different year for them if they had stayed healthy, and that's going to be the key this year, staying healthy. But I like their quarterback in Chaz Surratt. I like Larry Fedora as head coach there. I think he's a solid head coach, and I think he's going to turn this team back around. And like Notre Dame, like Duke, North Carolina is going to have a strong defense. But I do like their offense as well, and Chaz Surratt, it is on the road. A lot of these games for me, for Virginia Tech, it's going to come down because I expect a lot out of their defense. I expect that still to be strong despite only having 5 starters. Bud Foster knows what he's doing. It's going to come down to their offense. I do like their offense. I like Josh Jackson. I just don't see them going on the road and beating a North Carolina team that I think could surprise some people in this division and an offense that's going to be much more improved. I'm going to give them another loss. So, yes, I do know that is 3 straight losses for Virginia Tech, but you have to look at the quality of the opponent they're playing here. They actually, if you want to count that Old Dominion game, they have 3 of their next 4 games being on the road, at Old Dominion, at Duke, and at North Carolina. And Duke, Notre Dame, and North Carolina none of those are pushover teams. So maybe Virginia Tech can steal one of those. Maybe they can steal a Notre Dame game at home or steal one of those on the road. But right now, I'm just not calling for any of that. Then they get a bye week, and a much-needed bye week after 3 straight losses, and they're 3-4 on the year. So things obviously not looking good, but a much-needed bye week and a short week when they played Georgia Tech on a Thursday night. Now, last year, Georgia Tech missed out on the bowl game, but they upset Virginia Tech at home 28-22. The Hokies were number 17 at the time. So, this being on a Thursday night, coming off a bye week, a little bit of a revenge on their mind. Could have had a 10-win season last year instead of a 9-win season. I like the Hokies in this one to get a win over a Georgia Tech team that's certainly going to be dangerous on offense. But I like Virginia Tech's defense to be awake for this game on a Thursday night. It's going to be fun to watch, and they're going to be rested coming off a bye. So win for Virginia Tech there. And then Boston College, a team that I actually really like this year. A team that has finally found their identity on offense. They found themselves a quarterback in Anthony Brown. They found themselves a running back, certainly, in A.J. Dillon, who could potentially be a sleeper for the Heisman. Over 1,500 yards last year just as a freshman. For this game being at home, I predicted Boston College to win last year at home, and I missed out on that one. This year it is at Virginia Tech, and I think Boston College, I think the week after this, the week before that, they would have played Miami, which I have Boston College upsetting the Hurricanes. Might be lighting a little too high off of that. Lane Stadium, a tough place to play. Virginia Tech, in my opinion, would upset the Eagles in this game. I think they get a big-time win over the Eagles in that one there. And I think this bye week here is going to do a lot for them. If Virginia Tech is 3-4 going into that bye week, I think Justin Fuente and his coaching staff are going to be able to make adjustments to really finish the season strong and fix anything that they had going on there. And obviously this half of the schedule much more manageable than this half. You got 4 of their last 5 games at home. Their only road game on the road at Pittsburgh, who may or may not make a bowl game this year. And speaking of the Panthers, they're up next after Boston College in Pittsburgh, a team that upset Miami last year. It's what everybody's talking about, everybody they could talk about. That was the highlight of their season. They went 5-7. They were a 4-win team when they shot the college football world and upset the Hurricanes. This year they will be a little more improved. Kenny Pickett was the starter in that Miami game. He returns as QB, and the defense also returns 9 starters on that side of the ball. So they are certainly not going to be a pushover, especially with this game being on the road. But I like Virginia Tech's experience on the offensive side of the ball a little bit more. I like Josh Jackson's a little more experience than Pickett. I like the defense. I actually do like this receiving core for the Hokies this year. I think despite Pittsburgh having a strong defense, Virginia Tech is going to go on the road and get a big-time win here, and that's going to mark 3 straight wins for the Hokies there. And then they play Miami in the second to last week of the season, and this could be in my opinion, a bigger game for Miami than it is Virginia Tech, because with all these losses, Virginia Tech's out of the ACC title race. They're out of any national discussion, but Miami is certainly in the discussion for both the ACC championship and potentially the college football playoffs. So this is a chance for Virginia Tech to play spoiler, and luckily they get Miami at home. Last year they traveled to Miami and lost that game 28-10, just couldn't get anything going. This is a Miami team, though, that I think is going to be even stronger than last year. So you're taking a defense that was actually pretty good last year, making it even better. An offense that struggled, I thought, a little bit under Malik Rozier, but I actually liked him. A lot of people didn't. He's going to be even better coming off this offseason, improving his game a little bit, especially after the disappointing end they had last year. This game is going to be close. I actually believe this game is going to be very defensive battled. I don't see Virginia Tech scoring a lot on that Miami defense. And conversely, I don't see Miami scoring a lot on this Virginia Tech defense. So it's going to be a low-scoring game, I think. It's going to come down, like I said, maybe in that Notre Dame game. Who's going to make the stop when they need it the most? I think that's going to be Miami, and what's going to be a close game at Lane Stadium. So a loss for Virginia Tech there. And then Virginia to close out the year. Last year it was a 10-0 game, so a big-time defensive battle there last year. And Virginia, their strength is going to be their defense as well. They return 8 starters on that side of the ball, and they lose their star quarterback in Kurt Benkert after getting to a bowl game last year. I just don't see any way Virginia comes on the road and upsets the Hokies this year. This is going to be a Virginia team that we were used to seeing in the past, one that's going to really struggle this year. I don't think they're going to make a bowl game. I think they're going to really struggle in year 3 under Bronco Mendenhall. So I think Virginia Tech takes pretty easy care of the Cavaliers in this game. And that's going to give Virginia Tech a 7-5 record. Now, a lot of people may disagree with that, say that they're going to be better than 7-5. And if I look at their schedule and see games that maybe could help improve their record, I don't think they're going to beat Miami. Maybe they pull 1 or 2 out of this Duke, Notre Dame, North Carolina game. And I personally believe this is the biggest stretch for Virginia Tech this season. At Duke, Notre Dame at home, and at North Carolina. If they can win 2 of those, it's a 9-win season. 1 of those, it's an 8-win season. I just don't see them winning any of those. 2 of those on the road, and 1 of them at home against a strong Notre Dame team. And all of these teams are going to be improved from last year. So it's going to be tough. Maybe they can do it. I have a lot of faith in Justin Fuente. Have a lot of faith in Bud Foster and his defense. We've seen him do it for 23 years now. I don't expect any major drop-off in that defense this year. But right now, I see Virginia Tech going 7-5, making its 26th straight bowl. It'll be another solid bowl game. They win that, it's another 8-win season. So should be another solid year for the Hokies. But like I said, the schedule is difficult, and it's all going to come down to this 3-week stretch right here. So as always, please check us out on Twitter at Gridiron Expert and on Instagram at The Gridiron Expert. And as always, here on YouTube, please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.